Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. So today, let's chat about some more Age of Sigmar rumours for Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. Now, these rumours have all come about from another Age of Sigmar YouTube channel called AOS List Labs. I do recommend you go check them out because he'll have the original review and sort of leaks on the channel there, but also there's a bunch of other fantastic content on that channel. It is a really good channel and I really want people to help him grow, so definitely go jump on over to AOS List Labs. It's a lot more tactical, in-depth sort of stuff, so go give him a check out. I'll leave a link to the channel in the description of the video. But what I want to talk today about is the rumours that have spawned from that channel, so let's get cracking into them. So let's start with the rumour that we did hear about in the last lot of rumours that came out. So this is a little bit more information on those particular things. And that is charge reactions first. So charge reactions, apparently you can spend command points to do these particular things when you are charged. The first of them is spending a command point to hold, which will give you +1 save. Really standard there. Nice. Stand and shoot, you can stand and shoot as long as your enemy has there's some range limitations to this. I believe it was said that it's 9 inch. If they're more than 9 inch away, you can't do it, or if they're within 9 inch. I wasn't really too clear on it, but there are some limitations, and you're also -1 to hit as well. You can also choose to flee, which you can move away D6, and it wasn't talked about whether or not you can get caught. So, charge reactions are an interesting one because those who played Warhammer Fantasy will remember what they were. These are effectively the same sort of ones. Holding, you didn't used to get any benefits for, it was just that you stood there. But stand and shoot and flee were definitely things you could do and had benefits to doing. Now, stand and shoot always has negatives, and it did have range limitations of where you could do it within certain distances. Like if you were in half range of the weapons, I don't think they could stand and shoot or something like that. And also you took minuses to hit as well. Fleeing in Warhammer Fantasy, if you fled and then your opponent's charge roll exceeded your flee distance, they could actually catch you and just wipe you out. So it'd be interesting to see if that's a mechanic in there. But I do like this. As long as it's command point based and you're having to spend a resource to do these things, I don't really mind. People talk a lot about stand and shoot in this instance, I think, as well, where they're like, oh, shooting armies. But for me, there aren't a lot of shooting armies that have access to a phenomenal amount of CP to be doing this on a regular basis. And I don't think there's really ways you can get it at current to do so. So it's an interesting sort of mechanic. I'll be interested to see what you can do with these. Maybe they'll be limited to like one of each used a turn only or something like that. But I don't think stand and shoot's as bad a thing as it makes it seem. If it's got some limitations to the movement like it seems that it was told it was, I think stand and shoot will be fine. Flee's really cool. I really hope the idea of fleeing and then not running far enough is something where you can get caught. It's a gamble. I really like stuff like that in the game. Holding to get +1 save, having to spend a command point to get +1 save is really cool. I really like that mechanic there as well. I think all in all, these are a nice little addition without adding too much to the game. They can just be some more generic command abilities effectively. And so the next thing, I guess we need to talk about it because the previous sort of slide mentioned some bonuses, is there'll be no penalty or bonus stacking. This, I think, is a fantastic addition to the core rules. This is nice and clean and stops a lot of, I guess, pointless dice rolling in certain things where you can get to, 2s and 2s and you can put rerolls on your units, and there's really no point rolling dice. Everything hits and wounds. And on that point as well, more than the positive, I'm not too fussed by the positive, in all honesty. I think, bonuses don't really bother me because it lets people do more of what they're doing. That's fine. I think the no penalty stacking is where I really think this is a positive change for the game. Penalty stacking can be a really negative play experience. I think that is a major negative play experience for people in a more casual setting. I'm probably not talking about this from a competitive setting. I'm talking about this from having my mates over for games and playing in a friendly setting here. But I think no penalty stacking is nice. Not being able to put -3 on your opponent. What I hope this is, though, is I hope it's not, can only put -1. I hope it's only being able to take one penalty. So what I mean by that is, say, something like the Horrorghast from Malign Forbidden Power, the endless spell that looks like Nagash's head, puts -2 bravery. If that is the way the penalties work, like it can only take that -2 because it says -2 in one instance, where, say, the Charybdis build that I like to run, where it puts -2 and then -1 from the Charybdis ability, it only gets the -2 from Felgaze instead of the -1 on top of that from the Charybdis as well. So I really hope it's being only able to take a negative or positive modifier, one modifier from one source, not capped at +1 and -1. I think that's the best way to do it. CP generation as well will be changed, which is an interesting thing. I talked about maybe armies not having a lot of access to command points, but this is an interesting way to do it as well. So CP generation is going to be changed in the fact it's going to generate like the Relentless Discipline points rules from Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Now, for those who don't know how Relentless Discipline works, it's effectively you take the amount of units in your army, certain heroes give you extra bonuses, and you generate a set amount of points at the start of the battle round. And then you get those points until the next battle round. So they don't carry over. So you start on the first turn of the battle round, you generate all these points, and then you play the battle round, and in the next battle round, you generate new points, discarding any not spent in the previous battle round. This is interesting because it changes up the way we do resource management in Age of Sigmar. A lot of the time when you're playing with command points in Age of Sigmar, you're thinking about turns later of when you're going to need command points later in the turns for things later in the game and wondering, oh, am I going to need that next turn or something? This is a thing where, well, you're going to have them for a set amount of time, so you're not quite having to manage that aspect of the resource, but on the other hand, you're going to have to manage usage because you're going to want to be able to use them all, but learn to not overspend. I do think Relentless Discipline is a really interesting sort of thing and mechanic, and it's worked really well for Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I have played against them quite a fair bit now, and I really like how the mechanic works, and I do think that's a good change for the system. I don't think command point generation was broken in any way, but maybe if they're adding more things in, like the charge reactions, they're going to want more command points in the game, so maybe this is the way to enable that and make a positive change towards that. So I think that's a good little thing. Now, the thing this, I guess, talks to me about is last edition we saw a ton of War Scroll changes as well. So I wonder with this, are we going to see a lot of War Scroll changes for rules like Scrag Rot and the Fungoid Cave Shaman and things that generate command points? Are we going to see FAQs and rewrites on how maybe they generate one per turn, or they generate one in the first turn only, etc.? So the next thing is battalions are apparently no more. This I'm not 100% keen on. Now, I will say, however, as long as they're usable in narrative play, I'm not too fussed, because I think you can come to that point between narrative and matched where battalions, you can just use them however you want. And I also do sort of see this in 40k, where they did remove a lot of stuff from 40k, like a lot of formations and stuff from 40k when they changed the edition over. They started adding more things in, so the newer armies do have new things to do. So you might see some of these abilities change in, like, maybe they're not battalions, but maybe they're objectives or something like that, and we'll get to that in a second. But maybe it changes up how we get those new things for the army. I will be sad to see battalions go, though, because battalions in Age of Sigmar, for the most part, are very narrative-driven things. So I really hope they don't disappear entirely and are maybe just put to the side into narrative play, and in match play, you're lent towards these more structured, generic battalions. However, that brings me to a point as well that I really do think that match play should be able to use the battalions if they are in narrative play. Anyway, I think we need to maybe differentiate the piece between matched and competitive play. I think they're two very different things for me. And how I play match play when I play points and I'm playing a fun game is very different to how I play competitive play when I'm trying to win and when I'm doing all these different things. So, yeah, battalions going, I'm not 100% on. This is one I want to see more of, to know more about it. I hope that we're getting some sort of replacement for them, because I think they're a cool part of the game. Next, the priority to update, and I think this is probably my favourite change out of anything from what we've heard of coming from the new Age of Sigmar edition. So this is the priority update. We know the priority role is a major part of Age of Sigmar. It's not going away. The designers have constantly said that it's so embedded in how they think of the game now that this is a rule that's never going to go away. It's a core, fundamental piece of the game. And I, for one, love the priority role. I know people have some hate for it and some love for it, and there's strong opinions on both sides, but I am on the for side without a doubt in my mind. I do not want this rule to ever disappear. For me, it's one of the funnest things about Age of Sigmar. Anyway, priority, they've tried to, balance it in certain ways, and they have done things to try and address, like, maybe the issues with the double turn in certain parts of the game. Like, we've had endless spells added, we had the person not on the double breaks tires instead of a reroll, which is cool. But now, I think this is the best one. Now, priority turn 1 to 2. If you're getting doubled on 1 to 2, it's not the worst double to ever happen to you in the world. I mean, if you've played out your first turn right, it shouldn't be as bad as it could be. The turn 2 to 3, however, is generally when everything's all packed, the fight is in its thickest during the entire game. This is the double that can be game defining. Generally, you'll have games where you roll for priority for turn 3, and if a person gets a double from 2 to 3 and they're in a strong position already, it's pretty much game no matter what armies you're playing. Now, what's cool about this is they've gone the player who goes second in the third battle round removes an objective from the table. This is awesome. I was talking to a mate about it and just really looking at how it forces you to change up how to play. You know, even in a scenario like Knife to the Heart, where there's only 2 objectives, removing one can change how that game has to be played. It can be really interesting. You could be a defensive army and remove your opponents and go, come at me, bro. Or you could be a aggressive army and go, I'm going to try and take yours, which is really, really cool. I think there's a lot of tactical play in this, and it's just such a nice, simple little change. I really think I hope this is an actual thing that's going to come, because it's a great little rule. And the last little rumour bit that came out is the objectives. Apparently we're going to go to a 40k style objective system where we have primary objectives, which are sort of objectives you're trying to achieve over the course of the whole game, secondary, which are turn-based objectives, and tertiary, which are objectives you can build into your army force. This, I'm 50-50 on. I like the idea of it, but this can become an overcomplicated sort of thing here, I think. And I wonder if this potentially removes the part where Age of Sigmar is a simple game. Is this that little bit too much? I'll be interested to see how they implement it, because for me, I think that's a core fundamental piece of Age of Sigmar, that it's simple. And none of these rules really change much, except this. None of the changes drastically affect, I think, the simplicity of the game like this one could. So this will be an interesting look. I'll be interested to see if, say, we ignore some of these primary and secondary things in non-competitive play, or how it goes about. I'll be interested to see how my local community likes to play and feel about with these. It'd be really interesting to have a look at. But yeah, this for me is the one I'm unsure on. Does this make Age of Sigmar too complicated? What are your thoughts on all these rumoured changes? And I can't stress that enough, these are rumours until will proven true or false. This for me is just a bit of fun. I love talking about rumours and stuff like this and leaks and all that sort of stuff. It really just interests me. I love talking about it and just seeing where the game's going and talking about it. This gets me excited for a new edition. Whether or not any of this is true, this makes me excited just to be talking about stuff, Age of Sigmar, and what might be coming in the future. I'm the sort of person that gets excited about the hype and the unknown and the thoughts of is this going to be a thing? Is this not going to be a thing? Anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on all the changes. What do you think about it? What do you want to see? And also, please do go check out AOS List Labs. This is where I've got most of this information from. So please go give them a check out. Give them a subscribe. Great dude that runs the channel. Couldn't be happier that they've got a little bit of information, and go give them some followers and some subscribe. Give them a like. I'll leave a link, as mentioned, in the video's description here for AOS List Labs. Well, we hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, while you're at it, why don't you come join our Discord server? You can chat to me and other members of our fine little community here at Cineful Gaming. You can do so by following the link to our Discord server, which is in the description of the video. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to everyone who helps support the channel financially via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you to our Patreon supporters: Christian Weir, James Soren, Chaos Spawn, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Alder and Shot First, James Crowder, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, Tim Newman, and The Rising Ape. And thank you to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming and Fire Titan. Thank you all for supporting the channel, and if you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by clicking one of the links down to either our Patreon or our YouTube members in the description of the video as well. Thank you all for watching, everyone, though. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.